Monique how to make an herbal oil from her homegrown yarrow that she grew in her own backyard. And so I thought I would just film it because I'm trying to share more ways of making home remedies with herbs with people and how to do it, and wanting to really teach you how to do it on your own. So today we're going to be working with yarrow. And for those of you who don't know, you want to always use the yarrow with the white flowers. It's the more medicinal one. And some of the benefits of yarrow are it's a styptic herb, so it will stop bleeding. So you could put that into an oil or like a toner, like a witch hazel or an alcohol, whatever you chose to do for like stopping bleeding. So maybe in some kind of wound healing, or a stab is another way you could use that. So if you're doing that, you would add like beeswax and maybe even some raw cacao butter if you wanted to change the consistency. But it also is really great for wound healing, so it cleans because it's got antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial herbs in it. It is also an herb that is really good for healing the skin. Like it helps regulate the hormones, and it also is really great for digestion. So it's also a bitter herb, so you can make it into like a bitters if you were to infuse it into alcohol, for instance. And it's also just a really lovely herb for women because of what it does with, it'll also make you bleed if you need to bring on the blood. It can help bring on the blood. So it's kind of like a tonifier in that way, where it will like, it will work with you with whatever you need to get things going, in whatever way. If it's like you need to stop bleeding, or if you need to bring on the cycle of the moon. So that's yarrow, a little bit about yarrow. And so we are going to need a few things. You're going to need a scale. So you need a scale that can measure in weight by ounces and fluid ounces as well. You need some kind of organic oil. We're going to use olive oil today, but you can use a number of different carrier oils, just depending on what you want. And then I don't have this in the labeled bottle it came in, but this is 190 proof grain organic alcohol. I get this from organicalcohol.com. And so what you want to do is, some other things that just make your life easier if you're doing this a lot is, I have an Oster blender. Oster is the brand. That blender is about $30, so it's super cheap, which is great because sometimes you burn out your blenders, especially if you're working with mugwort. I pretty much can count on losing the blender.
Oh, really?
Every time I make mugwort. It's like really dense and fluffy, but it's like a real big strain on the motor. So it like always burns out the blender. Just so you know, FYI. Yeah. So, and then also, I'm usually making at least 21 ounces. So I just like to use these. Is this 32 ounce?
I think so. The tall ones are 32
Yeah.
ounces.
So these are the 32 ounce small top. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
I know it's the wide mouth.
The wide mouth.
Small mouth, I guess. Mason jars. And that is because with the Oster, this, which is the bottom of the blender, so it'll come with like the glass base that it always comes with, but then you just unscrew this off the bottom. And because I've made so much mugwort, I actually have a collection of about 5 or 6 different of these, because you throw out the blender, but you keep this.
Yeah.
So that you can make many oils at a time and just change the tops out. Or not change the tops out. If you're making like 5 or 6, you just have however many tops and just switch them out on the blender. So what we're going to do is we're going to weigh our dry material first, because that's going to determine how much we use of everything else. So I'm going to turn on the scale, and I'm going to set the jar. Where is our lid? Let me get the funnel. Canning funnel. This just makes your life a whole lot easier. And you don't have to have your herbs powdered just yet, because they're going to get powdered in the process. So I'm going to tare that, which means I'm going to zero everything out, which means it's no longer weighing the jar or the canning funnel.
Oh, that's the worst.
Man. I'm always momming in my videos, so this is perfect.
Try not to, maybe pick them up and then you won't step on them.
No.
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 Let it rest, okay?
No, it still hurts.
Does it need a kiss?
Aw, thank you, Phoenix.
Let's try and grab it away from me. Now you get me.
That's very nice of him. Ready?
Why are you doing with that?
We're making an oil.
From
Do you
the,
want to help us?
from the plants from the backyard.
Okay, so we actually already knew how much we had in weight, but we're putting in this jar anyways. So we have 0.5 ounces. We're going to multiply the ounces by weight by 7 to get our ounces, fluid ounces of both the alcohol that we're going to use, because we're going to use a little bit of alcohol to bring out the alcohol soluble components of the plant material. So we have, oh, you know what? I have to keep the funnel on just for the weight. Actually, never mind. I'm going to tear it out. So it's at 0, so now it's not weighing the Yarrow and the jar. And I'm going to add, since I had 0.5, oh man, 0.25 fluid ounces. So we're going to change the units to fluid ounces, and we'll get up to let's get up to 0.2 because you want to do as little alcohol as possible. This is 190 proof, so. And the reason why, you can do this with fresh plant, but the reason why you want to work with dry plant and perfect, you want to work with 190 proof, super high proof alcohols because you want to have as little water as possible when you're making an oil. Alright, so we added the alcohol, and now we want to stir it up. So do we have, yeah, that'll work. So now we want to stir this up, and we want to get the 190 proof alcohol, ideally to coat our dry material.
All of it?
All of it. It's going to pull out only the components of the medicine, the plant material that could be pulled out with super high concentrated alcohol. That's essentially how you get a really potent oil. And you make it more shelf stable because you're adding alcohol. So you have to be careful not to add too much. I've done that before, and then you have a really high alcohol smelling oil. You could always heat it up a little bit to burn some of the alcohol off, or even just leave the top off and burn, like just let it vaporize out. So it's not a huge deal, but you know, I have had it before where the oil smells great, but you do smell a little hint of alcohol every time you use it, and you're like, that's not really moisturizing. So you just want to, just a little bit. Hi, Bubs. Do you guys want to help? Does somebody want to pour the oil in?
Me.
Okay. Okay, so we are going to put in, we're going to multiply 0.5 ounces by weight by 7, getting 3.5 ounces. We're going to change our units back to fluid ounces. Oh, it was already there. Tear. Okay, and then we're going to just add 3.5 ounces. You could have powdered these herbs before. They're going to get powdered eventually anyways. Oh, Luna, you wanted to do this.
You want to pour the oil in?
Come here. Come over here and we'll get the stool over here.
This thing good.
All right. This is good for these two.
Oh, careful, Phoenix. Yuckies. Don't touch that. It's gross. It's
Okay, so we want this number to get up to 3.5. You got it? Yeah, use both hands.
gentle, slowly, okay?
Okay, let's stop and see where it's at. Okay, keep
You
going.
want some water?
Okay, stop
Is
and see
this-
where it's at.
Is this tea?
No. No,
let's
that's
actually try to pour it in so that it doesn't
very
touch
hot
the jar
water.
because it adds
it
weight.
can burn you, so
Keep
don't
going.
touch that, okay?
Is this hot water?
No, it's
going.
cold water. Do you want some water?
Keep going. Little more. All right.
Don't pull it up because it'll spill.
Okay. That's it. So let's turn it off. We're done with the scale. And then we're gonna put it. Oh hi! Oh hi! Are you wanting to be in the video as well? Okay. So now, that's not very much at all. Doesn't look like it. Let's see. We're gonna put it on the blender, and essentially you want to do this. With this one, I just put it on high, and about 4 or 5 minutes later, it turns off and it's nice and hot. And so I do that 8 times over the course of 2 days.
Okay.
And I wouldn't set it in the interim in a place in the sun because you don't want any light. You don't want any
Like
light.
it's pantry
You
or
don't have to
the
get
microwave?
that crazy. I mean, maybe, if you're keeping the blender here, maybe put it right here or
Okay.
something. Whatever, so it's not in the direct sunlight. Okay, so, so we spared you the 5 minutes of being on high on the blender. And some plant materials also, like when I do mugwort, I actually do the low setting, and I don't even do it for 4 or 5 minutes. I just do it like 10 times instead of 8 times, because it's so hard on a motor. And that's how I've avoided more blenders being blown out. So that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna just put it on the blender. It usually goes for about 4 or 5 minutes. And you're gonna do that about 8 times over the course of a couple days. Of course, there's times like I go on vacation, so it stays on the blender for a few days. I come back but I get my 8 marks in. And what I do is every time I put it on the blender and I hit go, I also make a tally. So we spared you the 4 or 5 minutes of it being on the blender, but you're gonna do that for about 8 times over the course of a few days. If you go out of town or something like that, and after say the 3rd round, it's okay, just come back and pick it up with round 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I like to put a sticker on here that also has space for me to make a mark, and I just keep a Sharpie right at the blender so I don't have to go searching for it each time. And if you have a couple oils, then it's nice to have a couple different tops, but you have to have a couple different blenders that have gone out. But if you're making enough oils, you probably will. But yeah, then you just you can just put these on one at a time. My son is screeching. So anyways, that's how you do it. And then a couple days later, I'll probably make a different video for how to strain it. But once you're done with your 8 rounds. Hey folks, so I just wanted to finish up the video. So after your oil is done and you've done your 8 rounds of putting it on the blender, then what you want to do is you want to get another jar, and I like to use organic muslin fabric, but we actually get those muslin kitchen towels, and we use those for almost everything. So when those start to get dirty, I'll just cut one up in 4 and stick it over the top of another jar, and then you're just gonna pour your plant material over every last bit. And then you'll squeeze and strain it out of the muslin fabric. Are you kind of catching this?
Yeah, can I use this?
Yeah, that's perfect. No, actually. Do you want something that's like a
Not
fabric?
cheesecloth, but like a muslin blanket, like an old muslin blanket.
Or even if you have like a cotton t-shirt or
Okay.
something like that, but it needs to be fine grained because it's really powdered.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm glad you did that, because a lot of people will think, oh, I can use gauze,
cheesecloth.
and you don't want to use gauze because you're going to be squeezing it pretty hard because it's really, really fine powdered in the oil. So you want to have something that's like this, essentially. So yeah, that's it, and I'll probably do a video for how to strain it as well. Okay.